This interview is a paid advertisement. It was produced on behalf of the company and is considered investor relations activity under Canadian securities law. All statements and opinions are those of the guest and should not be construed as investment advice. Please do your own due diligence or consult a registered investment advisor. Hello and welcome back to the Gold Newsletter channel. My name is Kai Hoffmann. I'm the EdJR mining guy over on X, and together with our good friend Brian London, I'm the host of the Gold Newsletter channel, and it's my pleasure to introduce you, or pretty much reintroduce you, to Silver Tiger Metals. I'll be joined by CEO Glenn Jessome here in a few short seconds. If you're not aware, the company's got one of the very few, maybe the only permit in Mexico right now to build a mine, and they will do so. They're a silver developer, and as you know, the silver price just reached $91 an ounce, and the pipeline is empty for new supply. Really timely discussion that we're going to have, and a really timely introduction. Before I switch over to my guest, though, hit that like and subscribe button. Helps us out tremendously, reach a wider investor audience, and we just tremendously appreciate it. Now, Glenn, it is great to welcome you back. It's good to see you again, my friend. Thanks so much for joining us.
Kai, it's great to see you. We run into each other, I think, in the hallways of the Precious Metals Summit in Colorado, or maybe we're in Zurich and we wave and we have a great chat, but we have not sat down in 2 years. We talked about that. Incredible. So it's just a very good time to get on in front of your listeners and give you an update on Silver Tiger.
Absolutely, yeah, no, long overdue. And since it is pretty much a fresh start here on the channel, Glenn, give us the 30,000-foot view or level introduction to Silver Tiger, and then we'll dig a little deeper.
Look, you know, we are based out of Halifax, Nova Scotia. We're a group of companies here. We've only been in Mexico for 30 years. I haven't been around the group that long. 20 now, but we're silver miners. There's always gold, of course, associated with silver mining in Mexico. The company in 2017 acquired a public company to get the Tigre asset. Our team, with their great experience, said this will and can be and will be now a producing mine, a silver mine in Mexico, and we got to work. You know, we had a tough environment from 17 probably until 24, 25. But we raised over $100 million for the project during that period, all bought deal financings from some of the smartest, precious only long institutions on the planet. All of that was raised without warrants. And we got to work and we did the work, drilled hundreds of thousands of meters, delivered multiple MREs for the project quietly in a tough time, and delivered, of course, the PEA and PFS for the open pit bulk tonnage deposit at El Tigre, and we'll talk about that. Just permitted, building now, extremely exciting, and did all the work for the underground also. And we'll have a PEA for the first look at the underground deposit. The bulk tonnage at surface deposit is for the open pit, and the bulk tonnage deposit underground. And you'll see the PEA for that this month. So that's exciting, and you know, it's Mexico 101. Big flowering epithermal system, bulk tonnage, easier mining at surface, narrow vein silver underground, and already a couple 100 million silver equivalent ounces on the books, and we'll add more. So a long life project. It'll be a big district, and we're on our way to build it now.
No, fantastic. Really good introduction to the company there, Glenn. The second question I like to ask in company introduction conversations here is really just about cap structure. You hinted at it. You raised over $100 million already, but run us a bit through the cap structure.
So that was 100 million up until about a year ago. We've probably, as last year was very busy, building mines is very capital intensive. We did 3 bought deal financings in 2025 alone, up and above what we'd raised prior to that, the 100. And I think the total on that was probably in the range of 60 or 70 million dollars last year we raised. All bought deals, straight up, no warrants, as long, big syndicates. It was fantastic. You know, it was a tough time. So on cap structure, we basically, through that 6 or 7 tough years, we were raising at lower valuations than probably would in this environment for sure. But we're very pleased. We have about 500 million shares out, and we're trading at about $1. I haven't even looked today, about a half a billion Canadian. And I think for where we are in our journey, We'll talk about valuation if you want to, what I think we're going to end up being, trading on maybe 1.1 or 1.2 NPV to give people an indication of that. It's all on performance and execution now. Build and make a lot of money with these projects, the low CapEx projects. I think that's a nice place for us to be. And I like our structure. I think we have room to really, really have an alpha return. We've had one already in the last year or so for our shareholders, but I think there's another one just over the horizon. That's my opinion, just based on us executing and NPV values for the underground and the open pit.
Perfect. No, sounds great, Glenn. What's the current cash position? Just remind me again.
We would have in excess of 50 million US in the bank, and that's a real nice position for us to be in. It allows us to execute on our build and finish the PEA we're coming out with, and just drive the project forward. We're really in a fortunate position that we have such institutional ownership and support to fund this project for the last 7 years.
Perfect. Let's dive a little deeper into El Tigre. Give us a bit of the history. You've been working on it since 2017. What have you done? What kind of run us a bit through the highlights first of the project?
Well, I just kind of did. We raised over $150 million total. I think it is now. It's hard to keep up.
Sorry for the project itself. Like
so that's what we're going to do. So basically, the project, the open pit. We'll build that on the basis of the PFS. So I'm just going to talk to you about the PFS numbers. People can go look at all these from the press release we put out in late 2024. All the highlights are there. Of course, if they want to go deeper, go on to Cedar Plus and read that couple 100-page document. That being said, Reader's Digest is that this the bulk tonnage, which I think we should talk about. We in November, not a large company in Mexico, but we were very fortunate and great work by my team. Nothing to do with me. Great experience of our team in Mexico. We were granted the first new permit for mining in Mexico since 2019 really. And basically that was also a bulk tonnage open pit permit for the project, surface mining. So very fortunate to get that. And allowed us in November to start the process to build what I'm going to talk about right now. The PFS says the CapEx for this bulk tonnage first part of the process, and then we'll transition to underground later, is about call it 86 million. Could that go up a little bit? Call it anywhere 86, 95, 100. We'll see where it ends up, because that study was last year. But call it roughly 100 million USD for the CapEx, which is very low. Easier mining. No mining's easy, but it's surface mining. It's not underground. It's an open pit, so that's an easier build than an underground. Not easy, of course. Generates about a 9-year mine life. That bulk tonnage deposit. It's open at both ends, so that will expand. We've only got 60% of the ore optimized in that first 9 years, so there will be a pushback after that. But let's just talk about the 9 years. That's what's in the PFS. I don't know where to use pricing. I'm going to give you some valuations. People can look at the study. This at $60 silver and $3,600 gold generates an NPV of $650 million US, an IRR of 83%, and it pays back in just over a year. And it makes over that 9 years over $1 billion net cash flow after tax US. So that's in excess of $100 million a year. That's a reasonable number now. I can't even believe I'm saying that that's a reasonable number, 60 and 36. If we look at today's prices, and I mean we can, because I can't plan to mine it there. But I know there's people think it's going to even go higher. But if we look at a sensitivity table, you can see it in our PFS or on our website. At today's prices, the NPV just for the open pit is 1.2 billion US dollars almost. It's got a 157% IRR. I can't even believe that I'm saying those numbers. It pays back in 6 or 7 months and generates 1.8 billion USD over the 9 years after tax. So we're in la la land as far as we're concerned. We've been doing this so long. We never thought the prices would be here. This project, when we did the study a year ago, was very conservative at $21.50 gold and $26 silver, and it still generated a $300 million NPV and made 40 million USD a year. Now it's just unbelievable. And remember, that's just the bulk tonnage open pit. the underground will add on a very similar type of deposit.
No, it's fascinating times we live in, Glenn. And maybe as a follow-up question to what you just said, like how is the current price environment really changing the business plan? Are you rethinking things? Is it reshaping the business model?
Look, it's about speed now. Look, Kai, I don't want to be self-serving here, but this market that we're in now, and it looks like it's keep going, because from my perspective, it looks like it's a supply-demand thing. Somehow something changed with silver in the last 6 or 8 months. The U.S. made it a strategic metal. I went, oh ho hum. But I can see now with AI and with technology driving this, the battery, everything driving it. I think it's a real supply problem, driven maybe by the very most valuable businesses in the world, which are the technology businesses. So we think we've got a longer run at these prices. I just talked about 60 and 3,600. If those are the prices, we take those for the rest of our lives. But maybe it's even higher. So speed. And who is going to be the company that wins the most? We're a $500 million market cap today, Canadian. Okay. If you believe these prices stay, and my NPV, and I'm only talking, this is all forward looking, and I disclaim it, but at today's prices, our NPV for the open pit alone would be $1.2 billion US dollars. That would mean if we build this, we should trade at 1.1, 1.2 our NPV. That's what our peers trade at in Mexico. So if you look at that, you say, oh boy, 500 million Canadian to that. What a trade over the next 18 to 24 months as we build this thing. So that's I think why we got to be fast on that. And I'll talk about the underground in a minute. Why I think speed is important and execution is important, because if you deliver that, that's the alpha return. I think our kind of companies, any developer who has been so fortunate to do all the work, to get the capital and get the permit to build in this environment, I think that's where the alpha returns is going to be. And that's where we are. We were very lucky on timing. But let me finish one more thing on that. Where has it changed me? I mean, who would not be happy just to be building this bulk tonnage deposit we're permitted for now with the money? Wonderful. But now I'm looking over the hill and saying, I think that these metals prices, maybe not this high, are going to be higher for longer. And consensus prices is showing that. If you look at all the big consensus pricing from the banks, they're just rapidly increasing their numbers, where they were so conservative before. That being said, that PEA is coming out this month for the underground. I could probably sit back and say, we'll get to that. It's not going anywhere. It's been there for 30 million years. And we'll build the bulk tonnage open pit first and get all that cash flow. I can tell you right now, I'm going to go as fast as I possibly can on that underground. That PEA will come out, and then I'm going to say, okay, guys, I know we got to build the bulk tonnage deposit. We're going to do that. We're going to execute. We have the team, but we need to get this underground ready, which means move that to PFS, which we probably will build on. Basically, that'd be my thoughts, maybe not, as fast as possible, because I want to do both at the same time. And we have a plan that we can, even though that's a little out of the ordinary for Mexico. So yes, make the metal. Those who make the metal in the next 3, 4, 5 years, I think are going to win. We're so fortunate that it wasn't timing. If you never leave Mexico and you never stop doing silver only in Mexico, when this time comes and you're ready like we are to build this, it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. We're very excited.
Oh, absolutely. I can tell, Glenn. And maybe you talk in very definitive terms, but have you made a final investment decision? Are you a final built decision yet?
It's so funny. People always ask this, and I tell them as follows. Like, you see some companies come out and say, we've made a construction decision. There's no line in the sand for us like that. We're constructing. and we started really the process of constructing in August of last year. It's not like you think that you're going to wake up one day in November, I think it was November 14th or something like that, and you go to the mailbox, and, oh, there's my permit to build the mine. It doesn't happen like that. You see it coming because the final steps to get it start happening. So even though I didn't think we would get the first one, there were some other companies I thought would get ahead of us, much larger companies. I basically we could see the team in the summer that over a couple of hills, wow, this is going to happen, and it's going to happen this fall. So we started really what we would call the engineering phase, which is a 6 to 8 month phase, 9-month phase last summer. And that means you hire KCA, Caps Cassie, the best engineering for bulk tonnage, open pit deposits, we think, on the planet, to do what we would say the basic and detailed engineering, which is well on the way, and we'll have a big chunk of that done by the end of January. WSP, who do all the work with respect to the pads and the waste and all of that work. We engage them at the same time, and their basic and moving towards detailed engineering will come for us for that component also at the end of this month. So, all through the fall after we've got it, bridge, we need to build a bridge that's being engineered and built. The road, we built a 46-kilometer road the 2 years before, getting ready for this. That has to be improved. The engineering's done, and that's work is being done. So on and on. The camp is being the contract for the land clearing and the flora and fauna rescue is being awarded. We're working. The camp will be starting to construct the camp here in the next month or so. So a lot of things are moving. So you'll not see really an announcement from me. We've made a construction decision. We made that last summer, and we're just going to go as fast as we can. It's an 18-month. Think of 18 months from January. Could it go a little longer? Maybe. But our goal is that clock is ticking, and we're working very, very hard now. And luckily, why do people make construction decisions? They get a permit. They're going to build. They got $5 or $10 million in the bank. Well, then they got to stop. They got to make sure they get all their financing done, and that takes 6 or 8 months or whatever it is, get their money all lined up, and then they can start. We have 50 million US in the bank. So we're going, and people need to know that, and you have to in this environment. And when the PEA comes out for the underground, I got to even speed up even more. So and get ready to make sure I can drive that side by side of the build project.
Perfect. The difference between current cash position and CapEx, of course. Like, how are you planning to finance that? Maybe a bit of a cheeky question to follow up with, Glenn, is also are you planning on hedging or forward selling?
I've been transparent about this for the last year. People ask me about that. And I think we made, the right decisions all through 2025. Get a very good amount of equity in the company, and with the performance of the stock and the driving of the market cap of the company now in excess of $500 million Canadian, that looks like with those returns, for shareholders, the stock just kept going up and kept going up and kept going up. So everybody's investment was appreciating. So good decision there. And now that 50 million US in the bank. A friend of mine from Western Canada had a saying, and I use it now. He said, sometimes you have the time and sometimes you have the clock. If I had $10 million in the bank, I'd have the clock. I'd be rushing around, and those providing the equity or the debt would know that I really need to get it. Now I have the time, and I'm going to use that time very, very strategically for the company. We have been working. I've been very transparent on debt for this for more than a year. I can pull a trigger on that debt whenever I want and finalize a debt package. I'm taking my time with that, because where I started almost a year and a half ago on that negotiation to where I am right now, the terms have become incredibly better for the company, which means incredibly better for the shareholders. So that is in one box. People always talk about, and I'm not really looking at this right now, but there's other options. There's debt, there's convertible debt. That's another option you see a lot of the companies looking at. And also there's a mix of debt and equity. So I'm not making any decision on that now. I always, when these opportunities come to get money, it has been equity so far, as it would have to be, because no one's going to give you debt financing on a non-permitted project. But all of the options are open, and I'll make the decisions as we go. There's things I said this before. There's things that keep me up at night. Getting the rest of the money for this project to finish it is not one thing I worry about. And so I think that should give a comfort to our shareholders. I will do what's best for the company, which is best for them also.
Maybe just following up on the speed topic you mentioned, that triggered a question here. Is like, are you doing any hedging or forward selling to lock
No.
in current prices?
No, we're not. We're not doing any of
Okay.
that right now. I think that that's it's a dangerous game to play because it's so volatile, Kai. Like, if you had said to me silver was going to be $90 a year ago, and I'd be dead now if I bet my life, because something has changed. And if everything we're seeing on the supply and demand, there's just no new silver company. I mean, we're going from 52, I think it's 52 silver mines this year. These are Silver Institute numbers, to 43 or 44 by the end of next year. By 27, which we should be coming into production, we're down to 38. So, I'm a believer in supply and demand, and something's broken in that supply and demand chain. And I think that this race to AI and technology I think people are finally realizing that maybe silver, it was always rare lithium, and then it was rare earths, and now they're sitting going, whoa, maybe the bottleneck metal really is silver for all this. And I think that's what's happening. So we're just going to ride this out before we make any decisions about hedging.
No, fair enough. Maybe one last follow up there, Glenn, just on the PEA that you plan to put out on the underground.
Yes.
What are you guiding the markets towards? What should we be expecting from it?
Well, not really. Look, I can tell you what people should figure out is, we're permitted for, when we acquired this public company, they had a permit for an 800 ton per day underground. We protected that and kept that very safe and secure. And so we have a permit for 800 ton per day underground. So, you would think that as a right, we would match the mine that will be underground to that permit and that size mill. We own that mill. We bought it in Canada. It's a couple of years ago. We bought it in New Brunswick, an 800 ton per day mill, and we actually shipped it to the mountain. It's sitting there. We had to build that 46-kilometer road I referred to a little earlier, and we hauled it in on heavy equipment. Right, it's sitting at the mountain. So that will be kind of, people can guess that would be the right size, and that is the right size for this deposit to start with. And it's going to be, all I can tell people is, if you think about, and some of them are, I don't want to mention my peers, but a high grade underground narrow vein silver deposit in Mexico, that's what they all are. This one's a little different in that we have some bulk tonnage in what we call a shale zone, pretty well right under our feet, where we've developed into the old mine where we do underground drilling from, and a little deeper, a big sulfide zone that's, a very high grade, what would be called in Canada massive sulfide, but we don't have that term in Mexico, so we call it sulfide zone. It's already almost a kilometer long by 450 meters high by 30, 40 meters wide, generating high grade silver. So beautiful underground high grade silver mine as a starter. Do I think this will stay as an 800 ton per day mill forever? No. But that's what we're going to show, the economics of what it will look like as we build it out. And we'll see when we get to PFS, like the sizing of the mill and those things. But that's what to see. But I think what's important is, and this is important for people to realize, in Mexico, mostly if you have a bulk tonnage open pit, you don't ever go underground and mine that until you finish with the pit. What we want to do here is we want to basically go fast enough, and that's how we've tailored this PEA, so that we can get at enough ore while we're building and running the bulk tonnage deposit at surface to turn that underground mill on and start getting some of that metal. So that's how your business plan changes, as you said. Something that was important to us to be able to do both at the same time. We think we've accomplished that, and so people should look for that in the PEA. It's going to be exciting. Here's what it is. It's really simple. People go look at our sensitivity table, Kai, and we'll get ready to wrap up here. And you look at it for the bulk tonnage surface deposit. We talked about those numbers. And it's wonderful at these spot prices, ridiculous NPV over $1 billion. We can't even believe it. So, but that's where it is at spot prices. So that's what sensitivity table does. We're going to generate that same in the PEA sensitivity table and all these economics for the underground as an 800 ton per day starter. Let's call that a starter, an appetizer for what the underground think might be. And it's going to give you basically that NPV. It's going to give you that IRR. It's going to give you the payback period. And it's going to tell you how much money you're going to make over that mine life. And then you're going to look at them, and you're going to look at the two of them and go, when you put these both together, and I can't tell you what the other one's going to be yet. You'll have to wait until we put it out. But you're going to start to see some very, very big NPV numbers and cash flow after tax numbers in US dollars. And that's what's going to drive our value. We will find more north and south. We're going to do exploration. We just started on this project. It's a district. We'll be doing it for 10, 20, whatever, 30 years. But for right now, to see that value, and if we execute and build both of these, then you just go and say, okay, if they trade at 1.1 or 1.2 times their NPV, I want people to think about that. That takes time. That's going to take a couple of years for us to get there. But that's really what El Tigre is now. The chances of us, you know the odds of a drill hole project getting to production. Some people say it's 1 in 1,000. Okay, we've done all that part. we've won that whole battle. Now we execute, and we get to enjoy this value in a world that's just gone bazonkers on silver and gold price.
Absolutely. Glenn, maybe last question here, and please keep it short. It's just catalyst for the next 3 to 6 months. Maybe just a list, like what should we be expecting? PEA, obviously, next.
Absolutely. So focus 100%, build the open pit, bulk tonnage deposit at surface as fast as possible. We're doing that. Number 2, PEA comes out for a beautiful underground, which will be like the bolt-on, and increase the value of the project on paper greatly. Drive that to PFS and get that ready as fast as possible while you're building the other part project, both of them permitted. And then, of course, when we catch our breath, we think that there's more El Tigres to the north and possibly the south, and get back to exploring and start with a drill rig or 2. And then as we get this in production, there'll be 5 or 6 drill rigs to the north and 5 or 6 drill rigs to the south, continuing to add ounces and just growing the project. So, that's the next 6 to 12 months. We're going to be busy, and love to come back and talk to you again, Kai, after maybe the PEA's out, or if I run into you on the circuit when we're at Vancouver or wherever, PDAC or Europe, wherever we're going to be.
Perfect. No, looking forward to catching up there, Glenn. Really excited about the PEA now coming out for the underground here very soon as well. Glenn, thank you so much for joining us. Really good overview. Much appreciated. And we'll catch up very, very soon. I'll see you in Vancouver probably in about 10 days' time anyway. So
absolutely,
looking forward to that.
And
everybody else, thank you so much for tuning in here to the Gold Newsletter. If you enjoyed this conversation, if it was useful to you, hit that like and subscribe button. It means a lot to us. And we just reach a wider investor audience if you do so. Thank you so much for doing that. Take care out there. Be safe and do your due diligence. Be safe.